Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here. Yeah, a little bit of Wisconsin time, a little bit of New Glarus time up in this piece in the form of their Cabin Fever. Look at that jam. Yeah, I am lucky enough to have a coworker. I have multiple coworkers, but I'm lucky enough the person that I work closely with, they have family out in Wisconsin. And yeah, once a year they go on vacation. I come into work, and there's usually a case of New Glarus under my desk, which is always nice. This year, I was given a half a case of Spotted Cow. I reviewed that before. That is just chugging beers. And then I got a mixed pack. It came with a couple different beers, and this is the first one we're diving into. This be a honey lager. Story time on the side here. It actually says, cool days draw us close to the warmth of home fires. This is the season to embrace quiet evenings with friends and family. You hold a Wisconsin honey Bock, easygoing and approachable. The pale Bock is brewed with an exclusive blend of Midwestern two-row malt and balances seamlessly with our special European hops. Naturally sweet Wisconsin wildflower honey added to the kettle. When you reminisce the passing summer sun or thrill to squeaky steps through drifting snow, one thing is certain about this winter in Wisconsin: this too shall pass. Label-wise, it's what New Glarus does. This is a little bit dark because it's super humid right now, but I dig it. I can get down with it. Put that sucker over there. And as far as the beer goes, not gonna lie to you, if you kind of look at this blind without knowing what it is, I could say a couple things. I could say, Springbok, Maibach, those kind of things. I could even go kind of West Coast IPA, but it definitely looks the part of a honey Bach. You know what I mean? It has this extra little tinge of yellow to it. Maybe it's me being a little bit too romantic about it, but it looks the part of it. It has this nice kind of soft carbonation on it and this beautiful clean and clear delivery. Yeah, just off white head. Let's give it a whirl. Let's give it a nose. Really comes off as a really small little Bach. Really not much as far as any kind of honey remnants from that wildflower honey they put in there, but you're getting this nice kind of crisp, kind of elevated crackery maltiness with this soft kind of like almost like graininess, almost like oatiness. I don't know what's in there, but it kind of comes off that way for me. No really big kind of hop descriptor or anything like that on the nose. Really is malt driven and comes off as that elevated, slightly bready kind of Bach-y kind of vibes. Let's dive in. Cheers, y'all. Okay, so initially when I took a taste, I didn't really get much to it. An initial kind of gulp. Once you give it a twist, once you give it a swallow, really all the bits and pieces of this beer really come to a head. You're definitely getting that nice roasty, toasty, elevated kind of toasty, crackery, not necessarily bread, but not necessarily saltini kind of cracker, somewhere in between those, kind of roasty, toasty kind of maltiness. And then you get this nice kind of wash of this soft little honey vibe to it. Very much there. It's not a figment of my imagination. So you have the interplay between that crispiness and that sweetness of that honey. It really is kind of cool because it kind of plays that part of almost like a hops malt kind of balance, but you're doing it with the honey and the malt, with that toasty crackeriness and that bit of sweetness. Pop of bitterness right in the middle there. Nothing too descriptive here. We're talking about a fairly generic bittering here, just old school noble hoppy, nothing too crazy. I usually don't like to use the word generic, but that's probably just easy enough to tumble out of my mouth. And just a hyper crisp, clean finish. The honey adds a little bit of density to it. There's a little bit of a touch, and I can hesitate to use the word flabbiness, but that for me is what honey tends to bring in a beer. It has a little bit of viscousness to it, so it kind of tampers down that little bit of lager kind of crispiness, but it definitely finishes clean. And honestly, is a chugger of a beer. I don't think New Glarus actually puts their ABV on beers, which is kind of weird to me, to be perfectly honest with you. We'll look it up before the end of the review. My guess is honey lager, something like this. I mean, honey isn't a fermentable sugar. Let's go 5.2 for the sake of conversation. And honestly, it is the cool beer that pulls the trick off of being a drinkable beer, a chuggable beer, a beer where it doesn't have to be the centerpiece of attention, but at the same time, if you want to sit here, yammer into a place like YouTube and talk about it in a more elevated sense. It really does pull it off. It is a really well done, hyper clinical, crisp, just ultra well executed beer that showcases that malt base, that showcases that wildflower honey in a very balanced fashion. That honestly, I kind of wish I had a half a case of this. Really comes down to ABV on this one. If it's 5.2, then I am happy. Let's see. I know this is always scintillating. Cabin Fever. What'd I say, 5.2? Let's see, we can go by Beer Advocate here. Or we can go 6.75. So it is a bit beefier. That's directly from New Glarus's mouth, I believe. No, actually, it doesn't say. 6. It's a 6 on Beer Advocate. Oh man, I gotta sneeze really bad. Why isn't it showing me our beers? Anyway, I'm going to go by Beer Advocate here. Let's go on Untapped for the sake of conversation, just for a little bit of... Then they're saying 5.5. So anywhere from mid-5s to mid-6s. A little bit bigger than what I thought, but if it truly is something close to like a 5.5, gaga-ness. But in the general, you're talking about a drinkable, chuggable, Bach-based kind of lager with that added component of that honey in there. It really is just, honestly, ultra well-made beer. No surprise here. We're talking about New Glarus. That's what they do. It is that subtle kind of rope-a-dope, kind of not much on the nose, but then getting a big kind of, for its ABV and style of beer, big kind of expressiveness, mid-drink, mid-swallow. It really makes this beer shine. Honestly, fantastic beer. I don't know what else to say. That cool, toasty maltiness, combination of that honey malt, wildflower honey, playing off that malt with that little pop of bitterness to add even a little bit more balance to it in an ultra drinkable package is one of the better boxes I've had. I was like, yes, Mount Rushmore status, yes, just that good. You're talking about box, even though a honey added, Americanized version of so. You're gonna be hard pressed to find something much better, especially if you're talking about an adjunct-based lager, S tier for sure. So there you go. Review in the books. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let's see. New Glarus. Have you been to the brewery? Have you had their beers? Have you had this beer? And valued availability, don't know. Came from Wisconsin. You know how that works. So yeah, let's talk about it. Down there, if you've had their beers, had this beer, what's your favorite New Glarus beer? All that fun stuff in between. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little bit of Wisconsin beer right now. Hope we'll see you next time. Cheers, y'all.